Most people look at endless, repetitive struggle and call it punishment. The boulder, the mountain, the same failure on a loop, a curse with no exit. But that belief is a coping mechanism. It lets a man quit the moment results stop arriving on schedule and call the quitting wisdom. The myths was never a punishment story. It was a manual, a machine for converting repetition into identity. Underneath the ancient story sits a system with 5 working parts, confirmed by modern psychology, biology, and Stoic doctrine. Today, we take that machine apart, piece by piece, until you see exactly how it runs. This is the first law of the Sisyphus Code, the Weightless Repetition Trap. Most men measure a task by its outcome. Push the boulder, reach the top, done. But in the legend, Sisyphus's boulder never stays at the top. The outcome is structurally removed from the equation. This mirrors the psychological concept of locus of control. A man with an external locus ties his worth to results. He cannot fully command the market, the client, another person's decision. A man with an internal locus ties his worth to the push itself, regardless of where the boulder lands. The mechanism, before any task this week, defines success as the execution, not the result. Did you show up? Did you push with full force? That is the only scoreboard you control. The average man refreshes the outcome, checking for permission to feel proud. The strategist executes and looks away from the scoreboard entirely. But controlling your effort while ignoring the boulder's final position is only half the machine, which brings us to the second law. This is the second law, the Amor Fati Override. Nietzsche did not tell men to tolerate their fate. He told them to love it. Amor Fati, the demand not just to bear what is necessary but to want it, to treat the boulder as chosen rather than inflicted. This is not positive thinking. It is a reframe with teeth. What you resist, you experience as punishment. What you claim as chosen, you experience as training. The mechanism, each time the task resets, the diet breaks, the pitch gets rejected, the manuscript comes back marked up. Say out loud or in your head, I chose this, before you say anything else. Not because it is comfortable, but because the alternative is resenting the mountain instead of climbing it. The average man narrates his repetition as bad luck repeating itself. The philosopher narrates it as the only mountain worth climbing, chosen on purpose. But choosing the mountain does not remove the fatigue of climbing it daily, which brings us to the third law. This is the third law, the homeostatic ceiling. The body is engineered to resist change. This is homeostasis, the biological drive to return to baseline, no matter what direction you push. New habits feel unbearable early on, not because you are weak, but because your nervous system is actively working to drag you back to the old equilibrium. This resistance is a documented physiological pattern, not a personal failing. The mechanism, expect the ceiling. Build a fixed, non-negotiable minimum, not your ideal effort, your floor. For the first 3 weeks, low enough that willpower cannot excuse skipping it. The goal is not intensity. The goal is to outlast the pushback until the new baseline becomes the body's default. The average man quits early, convinced the resistance means the plan failed. The predator treats the resistance as confirmation the plan is working exactly as biology predicts. But surviving the ceiling changes nothing if the mind keeps score of every failed attempt, which brings us to the fourth law. This is the fourth law, the Memento Mori Correction. Memento Mori, remember you will die, is not meant to produce dread. It is meant to produce urgency without despair. In the legend, Sisyphus's punishment is eternal, but yours is not. The boulder only feels endless because the mind refuses to count. Every failed rep gets logged by the brain as evidence of a permanent pattern. This tendency to treat a finite string of failures as a fixed, unchangeable trait is a well-documented distortion in how people explain setbacks to themselves. The mechanism, keep a single running tally, a literal number, of every rep, every attempt, every push. Not to celebrate it, but to prove to your own mind that the count is finite and rising, not infinite and static. Memento Mori does not say you might fail forever. It says, your time to keep pushing is limited, so stop wasting pushes on despair. The average man treats each failure as proof the mountain cannot be climbed. The strategist treats each failure as rep number 41 of an unknown but finite total. But even a rising count means nothing without a system for what happens after the count resets to 0, which brings us to the fifth and final law. This is the fifth law, the compounding threshold. Compounding is the mathematical principle behind why identical, unremarkable repetitions eventually produce a result that looks, from the outside, like a sudden leap. The boulder rolling back down is not evidence of stagnation. It is the mechanism by which the skill compounds beneath the surface before the visible threshold is crossed. Most gains in strength, in expertise, in reputation, are invisible for a long stretch and then appear all at once. Not because the work changed, but because the compounding finally crossed a visible line. The mechanism: pick one single repeated action tied to your primary goal and commit to it daily for 90 days regardless of visible progress. Because the compounding curve guarantees the visible result arrives late, not never. The average man abandons the boulder the week before the curve would have bent upward. The architect keeps pushing precisely because he knows the curve is invisible until it isn't. Consider the case for a mountain outside the myth entirely. The Roman general Fabius Maximus faced Hannibal after Rome's armies had been annihilated twice in open battle, at Trebia and at Trasimene. Rather than meet Hannibal in the decisive engagement every instinct demanded, Fabius adopted a strategy of delay, shadowing Hannibal's army for months, refusing pitched battle, absorbing ridicule from his own Senate as a coward. He was removed from effective command within the year, replaced by generals who wanted the glory of a final battle. Those generals delivered Rome its worst single military defeat in history. At Cannae, Fabius's method was not weakness. It was the same compounding principle applied to warfare, except the invisible, unglamorous grind, because the alternative is a single visible catastrophe. The average man wants the decisive battle that ends the story today. The strategist wages the slow war that no one is watching. Drop the fantasy that repetition without visible reward is failure. Define your success as the execution, not the outcome, starting with the next task in front of you. Adopt Amor Fati. Choose the mountain out loud every time it resets. Build a floor low enough to survive the ceiling for 3 full weeks. Start the tally today. 1 number, rising proof against despair. Refuse to abandon the boulder in the dark stretch before the curve bends. That stretch is not the end of the climb. It is the climb itself. The boulder was never a punishment. It was training. Become the machine.